How you doing, gentlemen?
Oh, pretty good.
I have a bronze statue I like to sell.
Do you know much about it?
I don't know what to tell you about that.
This is a statue called Pegasus, and this is Perseus. Perseus was the mythological figure that killed Medusa, okay? And the helmet he's wearing right here made him invisible.
You got me. I don't know what you're talking about. I decided to come to the pawn shop today to sell a limited edition 1888 bronze statue by Louis Picault. I want to sell my statue for about $6,000, but you know, if I can take 55, but I won't take less.
So what can you tell me about this thing?
It was made in 1888 by the French sculptor Émile Picault.
Okay.
Rick, it's a quality piece. I don't know the sculptor.
Picault was an artist in France. He was born in the 1830s, died around 1915. He did a lot of mythological stuff, and this was his most famous one.
If this is a genuine Picault, we're talking thousands of dollars. His sculptures are highly collectible, but in the art world, there's just millions of fakes, so you have to be really careful.
The patina looks right. What doesn't look right is there's some pitting right here. And that crack right there is from when they casted it. It didn't happen later. If it's an original, the casting will all be right.
Well, to be honest, I don't know how to respond.
I believe this was recast probably around 40, 50 years ago, long after Picault died.
Why would they do that?
That's just, this is what I'm seeing. Right here, you have Collection Française. You see this?
Yeah.
It says Made in USA below it. This was not made in 1888. The original was made in 1888.
I don't believe you.
Okay, I mean, I just don't see 1800s here. It's an American foundry in the 1950s.
What you've seen and what you can prove is two different stories.
I see this all the time. People will bring in things like this, and I tell them it's not real. And they just think I'm a asshole. They think that guy can't appraise art, but I can. It's not as old as this date says it is.
I don't care what you say. I don't care what you tell me, but I know you're full of
You know, it's all right, Antoine. I got it. That's just what I see.
We might be wrong. We don't know. We're in the business to make money. But when we don't feel comfortable with something, we're going to back off. We really appreciate you bringing it in, but it's not for us. That's all I can tell you.
I'm glad he didn't want to buy. This is his loss, not mine.
Hey, what do we got?
I got a painting here.
A painting by...
Prince.
Okay, all right, I'm interested. Prince, he became really big in like 84.
Before I was born, but...
Okay, all right, here. Go ahead, make me feel old.
I'm here at the pawn shop today to sell my painting by Prince. He was a big pop culture icon. My family was into Prince. I'm not 100% sure of what was going on in his head when he made it, but it's a character that he created. I'm looking to sell the painting for $50,000.
Pretty cool. In the 80s, Prince was a megastar. He's like one of the most iconic rock stars ever. He had some incredible music, everything from Little Red Corvette to Party Like It's 1999. He really was an incredible guy. I mean, his music was almost his own genre. I think he actually signed, at the time, it was like the biggest recording contract ever for $100 million. Where did you get it? I mean, because I've never even heard of Prince painting anything.
Most people haven't. I know a guy that happened to work with Prince for a number of years, and he connected me with his dry cleaner. I guess when she was picking up clothing, there were things that he didn't want to take with him for one reason or another, and this was one of them. And so she ended up with it.
All right, so you have no paperwork, anything else like that?
No.
I guess that signature could be Prince. How much you looking to get out of it?
I'm looking for 50 grand.
50 grand. I mean, your big problem here is you have zero paperwork.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I mean, I can have a guy look at it. My buddy Warwick, he is like the king of rock and roll memorabilia. So let me have him take a look at it and see what he thinks. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, maybe it is worth 50 grand. Who knows? I'm too old to party like 1999. Well, there it is. This guy says it's a painting by Prince. I have no idea.
Kind of a striking piece. For the 80s, there was really only 3 stars that mattered in terms of selling power, and that was Madonna, Michael Jackson, and Prince. He was the Prince of Pop. I think Michael Jackson had to come up with the title King of Pop just to
Yeah.
get one over. Prince had quite a few good records, but everybody knows Purple Rain.
Yeah.
Because he made it into a movie, and it was a really good movie. 2016,
Yeah.
he died. Like so many celebrities, the moment he died, his value went up 4 to 10 times.
Damn. Okay.
So there's a lot of interest, a lot of collectability in Prince. There's
Okay.
much in demand.
All right, so do you know if he ever painted anything?
It was rumored that he painted the album cover in 1999. So I'm willing to believe that he painted.
Does that autograph look anything like Prince's?
It looks just like Prince autograph, but in this particular case, I would say it was drawn, not signed.
Okay.
It doesn't look very fluid, does it?
No, it doesn't. So, could you even come close to trying to sell this as a Prince painting?
If you could get it closer to proving that it is Prince, we could sell it. But the trouble is, you have to have somebody that saw him paint it.
If you had all the paperwork in the world proving this was a Prince painting, what would it be worth?
50 to 100,000.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Always
I appreciate
my pleasure. And good luck with it.
Thank you.
Well, you heard him. Everyone's going to consider it fake until you have proof that it's not.
Sure.
So, dig around, try and find some photographs, try and get some statements from people. Maybe it'll come out that it is done by Prince, and you get 50 or 100 grand for it. But I'm not going to pay a dime for it. No paperwork.
I understand.
All right, have a good one, man.
Thanks for your time. I'm gonna take the painting for now. I might try and figure out some lineage later on, but for now, feel comfortable keeping it.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you today?
Oh, pretty good. What do we have here?
Well, it's a Claude Monet painting.
Is there just a weird chance that your name is Claude Monet, or is this actually the Claude Monet?
No, this is the actual guy.
Okay. Where in the hell did you get this?
Collateral for a loan.
Okay. The guy just defaulted on the loan, or?
No, actually, he took the money, went in the hospital, and died.
Okay.
So that, I guess, in itself is a default. I've had the painting for 3 years, and to be honest with you, it's not really my kind of art. I am not an art collector. But I know if it's real, it's probably worth in the neighborhood of $2 to $3 million.
Do you have a date or anything else like that when it was done, when it was painted?
I
Is
don't.
there a title to it? It was just.
I don't.
Okay. I mean, was this guy really well off?
He was. He was a doctor.
All right. I know a little bit about Monet. He started arguably one of the biggest art movements ever, the Impressionist movement. There was Pissarro, there was Renoir. All these really, really great artists came out of it.
So he started this.
He started it. I mean, Impressionism is named after his painting Impression Sunrise. That's why his paintings are worth so much money. The things that made Monet paintings so great, they were a little bit blurry. That's Impressionism. But you could still see detail and depth. That's what made them so special, and that's why they go for millions and millions of dollars.
What I have here is some documentation,
Okay.
some provenance for you that you can look at.
All right, so May 1st, 1965. Our findings as follows. The painting is solidly constructed casual canvas, a typical Claude Monet from his early period. Okay.
Then we jump forward to 1997. The painting was actually displayed at the Las Vegas Museum of Fine Arts.
Okay.
This was the insurance policy for that painting at that time. And it was insured at that time at $2.1 million.
People have walked in my shop and I have bought hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of merchandise off them. But a real Monet, that might be the most expensive item yet. So you want to sell it, correct?
Correct.
You know, I just 100%, I am not qualified to say if this is real or not. Okay. But I might have a lowly pawn shop, but I do spend some serious money every once in a while.
Sure.
So let me get a friend down here.
Okay.
If this is legit, I think we can both make money off it. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. I'll be right back.
Thanks. If they bring some people in, it only helps the situation. I'm hoping to walk out with $1 million.
Oh my gosh, this is the Monet.
This is it.
All right. Monet's one of the biggies. I mean, when you think of fine art masters, Monet's right up there near the top of the heap. He established probably the most important artistic movement of the last 200 years. I mean, there's prestigious museums that can't get hold of a Monet, so you don't expect to see one in a Las Vegas pawn shop.
You say I'm not prestigious? Yeah, well, really?
Nothing personal. I love Impressionism. The way that they were able to configure and juxtapose in short dabs of color to where, as you step back from the painting, your eye puts it all into focus in a natural way is phenomenal. Now, was it on exhibit at the Las Vegas Art Museum?
It was in
All right.
1997.
Okay. They say early period, which is very vague. I mean, he lived a very long life.
Yeah.
He started painting very early, so what's early period? It doesn't really tell you a whole lot. But he was a perfectionist, and a lot of his lesser pieces have kind of been lost to time. So this may have been a piece that he did, perhaps as a study to another piece. Let me take a closer look at it,
Please
if you
do.
don't mind. My first impressions of the piece is it certainly looks like something Monet would have painted late 1870s when he was fascinated with a lot of rural France and he was trying to capture the pristine, untouched beauty of some of those types of areas. It's indicative of Monet's brushstrokes. Impressionists were all about, as the name would indicate, capturing the impressions of a scene. And when you work in plein air, out in the open air, it's all about speed. I mean, because the lighting changes, the wind kicks up, the shadows move. So you have to really capture the impressions quickly. The brushstrokes are there. It's very thin. Usually you'll get some sort of impasto, a little bit more texture. He usually had some texture in his pieces, and this, again, there's very little of that. He also was known for having a very, vibrant palette. All of the master works that you see have every color of the rainbow. I mean, you've got purples, you've got oranges, you've got reds, you've got greens, and there's very little of that. But that having been said, I don't want to dismiss it because, again, you're talking about a piece that, if it's authentic, this could be a $5 million piece. But on the same token, you have to be really careful.
So red flags means it's not real, or?
I'd like to get a second opinion because, again, when you start talking about these types of upper echelon pieces, the more opinions you can get, the better.
Okay.
And just because there's a few red flags that I see, he may not see it that way.
That's fine with me.
Okay. Is that okay, Rick?
Sure, yeah, give him a call.
Okay, I will. If this piece is authentic, this could certainly be the most valuable piece I've ever checked out for Rick. You really have to dot your I's and cross your T's, and it always helps to get another opinion. Gerard is the man that I go to in our gallery when we have masterpieces come through just to verify authenticity and things like that. I trust his opinion implicitly, so.
Okay.
I'm a fine art expert specialized in authentication of important masters. Before to look at the name, you look at the technique, because you see rapidly the difference between a Sunday morning painter and a real artist. If this is a real Monet, it will be a very important Monet because of the size and also because of the subject, because he is a painter from the outdoors, from the landscapes. Monet is known for that quality. The first thing, if it's a Monet, it should be 150 years old. So we should at least see cracks in the painting. Yeah. Also here in the signature, there is absolutely not one crack. That's interesting. Yeah. If we look on the back of this painting, may I lift it?
Sure,
No problem?
Sure, fantastic.
Go ahead.
Yeah. What I'm looking at is at the texture, the canvas, all indication of who it could be. You will have all the oil paint sweating through the canvas. Here you don't see that.
So is it real?
It's in the style of Monet, but it's not absolutely not by the hand of Claude Monet.
Really?
Yeah.
How sure are you of this?
200% sure, because there is absolutely not one crack in the paint itself, which is not usual for 150 years old painting. Also, what you notice is almost all in one plane. Monet will have showed this with shadows. This will be much more pronounced. This is too flat.
Wow, really?
And
Not
probably
real.
Not real.
Oh.
Usually when it's too good to be true, it generally is.
Well, that's disappointing.
Well, thanks for bringing it in. It was fun. Man, if I lost out on millions, I would be bummed too. But not as bummed as me shelling out millions for a fake.
What do we have here?
Whatever it is, it's big.
You tell me what it is.
Well, it appears to be a Salvador Dali. You didn't put the glitter on it, did you?
No. I came down to the pawn shop today to try to sell my Salvador Dali painting. I've had it for about 10 or 12 years. It's been in my home on the wall. I'd like to sell it because I could use the money. I expect a big paycheck.
Where'd you get this thing?
Bought it about 10 years ago at a swap meet.
All right, yeah, Salvador Dali, pretty neat guy, weird guy. He came up with the whole melting clocks, and they were really, really popular.
Dalis, you can't take them all in at one time. You have to go through it piece by piece to learn what's in there.
You see a face here, you see eyes, nose. You look at the mountains, and there's stuff coming out of there, too.
I'll tell you what, it's different than any other Dali I've ever seen. I've never seen one
With glitter.
bedazzled. How much were you looking to get out of it?
As much as I can get.
Okay. To be honest, I have my doubts just because I've never seen anything like this before. But, I mean, if it's real, I can guarantee it's worth over 10 grand. So, do you mind if I call someone up and have them come down and take a look at it? I mean, he's going to know a lot more than I am.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Let me give him a call. Original works by Dali have sold for tens of millions of dollars. So if this thing is legit, of course I want it. But any artist who's really popular with collectors is really popular with forgers. So you always have to be careful.
Salvador Dali. Excellent. Not only was he a surrealist in his artwork, he was pretty surreal. He was an interesting guy. As a kid, there's a famous story where he was out with a buddy of his, and they were walking across a bridge, and he literally pushed his friend off the bridge into the rocks below, just to see how he reacted to the pain.
He wasn't eccentric, he was crazy. I don't care what you say.
Now, Rick, I know when you call me down, you have a reason, so I would imagine you're questioning the authenticity.
Yeah, I've never seen a bedazzled Dali.
I have heard that he has embellished with glitter in the past, so
Okay.
It's a possibility. Typically, I'd like to look at the annual price guide of his work, and that basically has everything. So if you don't mind, let me consult that for a few minutes and see if I can find that image.
Okay.
That particular piece has a lot of his quintessential images, the melting clock, the rearing horse, the rider. If it's an authentic, hand-embellished Salvador Dali with all of his own personal touches on it, it can be very, very valuable.
Give us some good news, Brett.
You know, I don't know if it's good news or not, but I don't see it in here, and this is pretty all-encompassing. So the fact that it's not in here, I'd have to say that it's not a legitimate piece. Now, that's not to say it wouldn't have any value, because there is a chance that the signature is authentic. He would sign large sheets of blank paper, so dealers or galleries, they could do whatever they wanted with the paper. They could print images on there. They could do all sorts of different things. So I can't authenticate the signature. There's a chance that it could be his signature.
So that signature should be worth at least 50 grand, shouldn't it?
No, I'm afraid not. He signed a lot, and there's still, even though he's passed, there's still a lot of his signatures floating around out there.
So what are we talking?
Assuming the signature is authentic, I'd put a value on it somewhere around $600, $700, $800.
The frame costs more than that in the matting.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate
Rick,
it, man.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen.
You know, there's nothing I can do with it. But just remember, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So,
That's right.
Thanks for bringing it in, though, man.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you a lot, sir.
All right.
Here's some advice to people who want me to buy their stuff. Get it checked out first. So I got a call from my gallery, and they told me that someone is bringing in 2 Louis Icart etchings. These could be worth a lot of money, especially if they're the right ones. So I've called up Chad, and we're waiting on the guy. Hey, how's it going?
Fine, thank you. How are you
Just
today?
put these up here. So where'd you get these?
Got them at a sheriff's auction, Gove County, Kansas.
Sheriff just had some iCards?
They just happen to be there. I have 2 Louis Icarts. Had them for about 5 years. They haven't been hanging on the walls or anything like that, just been stuck off in the closet. Me and my wife are downsizing, getting ready to travel. So we live in an RV and there's no room. I'd like to get $1,700 for them.
That is really neat. It's Louis Icart, a really incredible guy. He was literally the king of Art Deco. Icart was painting in the 19-teens, where there was still the whole Art Nouveau thing going on, which was more decorative, flowing lines, like her dress there. That's his wife, right?
It's Fanny Vollmer, 18 years old, working in a fashion house as a model. She turned into the muse for almost the rest of his life, of his work. So anytime you see a blonde-haired, curly girl in Icart, you know it's Fanny. They weren't together very long before he got drafted in the military for World War I, which everybody was doing. Every time he had any downtime, he would sketch on whatever surface he could, whatever kind of paper he could, and he would send these back to Fanny. Well, Fanny had found a publisher who would publish some. Long story short, by the time he got out of the military, he had a built-in fan base.
Okay, if these are real etchings, they'll be worth a lot of money. An etching is a copper plate that has an engraving into it, and a really big giant press presses that into the paper, so you will see an indentation line all the way around it. Chad.
Let me get on my old blind guy glasses here. There's the few problems that you can see right off. That's a photo printed of the piece, and that's not hand signed. They're stamped and printed.
These are not etchings?
No, they're not etchings. So that obviously is quite detrimental to the value.
How much did you want for these?
I like this $1,700 for the pair.
Do you see anything here?
I mean, you know, between the two of them, it's $50.
They're basically practically unsellable. I wouldn't want them. You know, like when I talked to you on the phone, I thought they were going to be the genuine etchings. They're just not.
Okay.
So, thanks for bringing them in, though.
Thank you, Rick.
No problem.
You too.
There you go.
There you go. Hey, thanks
All right.
a lot.
Hey, good luck to you, man.
How you doing?
Good.
What do you have here?
It's an aquatint etching by Miró, Joan Miró.
Okay. It looks really cool.
Definitely.
I really like Miró. He's one of my favorite artists. It's simple, but yet your subconscious still thinks, what could this be, you know? This could be a kite, this could be a road, this could be anything, you know? Like, it really gets you thinking, what could this be?
$10,000. I got the Miró at an auction about 14 years ago. I want to sell the Miró because I am traveling now with my wife, so it's either sell it or find a permanent home for it until we settle down. I'm selling the Miró for $12,000. I'll be willing to go as low as $10,000. If I sell the Miró today, I'll take my wife on a belated honeymoon, and I'll probably spend the rest of the money on the house.
It is pretty cool. Do you know a date on it or anything like that?
No idea. I don't know the title, the date. All I know is it's titled 49 out of 50, so I assume it's an edition of 50.
Okay, yeah, it definitely is in typical Miró fashion. I mean, he was a pretty interesting artist. He was from Catalonia, Spain, traveled around, first went to Paris in the 1920s. He was around artists like Dali, Picasso, and he experimented in all different types of mediums. But really what he's known for is his lithograph work, you know, these primary colors, the reds, the blues, the greens, the yellows with the black lines, a few triangles and circles. It just all looks kind of jotted down and scribbled on there. But when you look at it, it's more than abstract, you know, it's more than shapes on paper.
Definitely.
There's definitely a big market for Miró's work. In 2012, Sotheby's set a record by selling his masterpiece, Etoile Blue, for $37 million. If this piece is real, it won't fetch millions, but it could be worth thousands. So how much do you want to get for it?
$12,000, that's what I was thinking. There was an art gallery downtown about 10 years ago that had similar etchings by Miró, and they were selling anywhere between $40,000 and $70,000.
You know what? I can see this going for $12,000. That's not out of the ballpark for a Miró piece. The thing is, even though his artwork is worth a lot of money, he's one of the most faked artists around from this period of time. Like, his signature is faked a lot. And I'm not a signature expert, but signature looks a little iffy to me. It kind of looks like stop and go, stop and go. Miró had a real fluid signature. I would just like someone to come down and take a look at it. I got a art expert, Brett. He's dealt with Miró's for a long time. So give me a few minutes and I'm gonna go call him.
Absolutely, sure. I'm a little nervous to hear what the expert has to say because I don't have a good baseline to know what it's worth, and I am also unsure if it's truly authentic.
All right, let's see.
Check this out. I don't know if we've called you down for one of these before.
Ah, I don't think so. Miró on the floor. Very, very nice. Yeah, Miró, I mean, one of the most important artists of the 20th century. I mean, he lived to be 90. and he lived through just about every major artistic movement of the 20th century. And that experience shows in his art. I mean, he did everything from abstraction to expressionism to surrealism. So absolutely an amazing artist. Joan Miró is really one of the 20th century masters. He's right up there with Picasso and Matisse. He was a master of all media, from engravings to aquatints to stone lithography. He could do it all. I am familiar with this image. I've actually seen this. The title is called Demi-Mondaine at Her Window. You can see that this is a figure. You can see the eye. You can see the appendages here. And it's probably a woman of the night wearing an ornate gown with, you know, beautiful flowing colors and standing in front of a window. And it's a window view of the night sky. You've got the stars, the moon, or maybe these are city lights. I mean, this is really indicative of his late period work.
Okay.
Now, did you have some specific questions, Chum?
I don't know if it's real. And also, the signature is not quite as flowy as I would normally see from a Miró signature.
Was it okay if we put this up on the table?
You're the boss.
Okay, great. All right, let me take a closer look here. Yeah, I think what we have here is it's a mixed media print. I do see plate marks, which would be indicative of an engraving where they actually press the copper plate into the paper. You can see it kind of, you know, the trace of it there. It's on the right type of paper, so this does appear to be an original Miró graphic.
Oh, excellent. Great.
Okay, now this is where I run into some issues. I have seen this work, and every single one that I've seen, the signature usually appears higher up within the composition below the green, and the number typically appears below this orange sphere. The signature, I'm a little worried about. There's a lack of fluidity here. I mean, there's a lot of breaks in the arches of the M. I think what this might be was an original graphic that somebody else signed and numbered.
Oh.
Which is a shame, because even an original graphic that's unsigned and unnumbered is going to be worth many thousands of dollars. It's kind of like autographing a Mickey Mantle card yourself, you know, it loses a lot of the value. Again, I can't say with 100% authenticity, but based on my experience with this particular work in Miró, I just see too many red flags to advise Chum to purchase it.
All right.
Sorry.
All right,
All right. All right, nice meeting you.
Yeah, same here.
All right, thank you, Chum.
Yep, thanks for
All
coming
right.
in.
Have a good one, guys. I'm afraid I had to advise Chum to pass on the work. Even though I think the graphic itself is genuine, there's just too many question marks about the signature and the edition for me to advise him to purchase it.
So, even though he thinks it's a real Miró graphic, I'm gonna have to pass. It's gonna be hard for me to sell. It still seems kind of fictitious.
I understand.
All right, well, thanks for bringing it in. It was a
thank
pleasure
you.
to look at.
Yeah, thank you. It's very disappointing to hear that it's an authentic Miró, but someone forged Miró's signature. Now I'll probably end up hanging up the Miró wherever we end up staying and enjoying it as much as I can.
How can I help you?
I have some original John Lennon artwork to sell.
The John Lennon?
The John Lennon.
Come with me.
Chum,
There he is.
I told you, get off that thing. So what do you got here?
Some original signed, very rare John Lennon artwork for you.
Where did you get this?
I happened upon that at a small thrift shop. It was framed. You can see where it's tanned. Somebody was really proud of that. It hung on their wall a long time.
I just want to check this out one more time. You might want to get some gloves if you're going to handle that.
Good employees are hard to find.
The artwork is original John Lennon, 9-panel self-portrait. I want to sell it because I think it's worth about $20,000. I may go down a little bit, but not much. If I get the full amount of money, my birthday's tomorrow, it'll be a great birthday present.
It's definitely cool, man. John Lennon, he actually went to art school for a while. He did these doodles and things like that. And, you know, in the 70s, he realized people would pay him money for it. Then he started doing the really large ones. I mean, he did full, like, portrait-size ones. And almost all the art I've ever seen from him is like this. It's his little doodles. And then he started doing limited editions, and most of the ones you see today, they're from his estate. They were printed after he passed away. There's something neat about it, though, because there's probably 20 artists in the world where you just look at a picture and know that's them. So, you're looking to sell it?
I am.
And how much you want for it?
20,000.
20,000.
That's a known 9-panel self-portrait that he did, you know, and so.
Okay. He did a lot of art. There's a lot of his stuff out there. You have a little problem with this one, though. This is Kodak computer paper. He passed away in 1980. This type of paper didn't exist in 1980. So, it's cool, but it's 100% fake.
Glad I didn't pay much for it.
How much you pay for it?
$10.
You know what? You never know. If the next 50 of these pay $10 a piece for every one of them, maybe one of them will be real. Okay. Have a good one.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
See you later, dude.
Thank you. I'm really disappointed to hear that my artwork by John Lennon is actually a John Lemon.